Hickson's Fix: How Student Loans Can Drive People into Poverty. Brought to you by YourLegalLegOp.com, your advantage if you're being sued by debt collectors. Sometimes people wonder how their student loan payments get out of control so quickly, or what went wrong in their lives. And many people have a wrong idea about how interest rates on big loans work and how fast the interest can increase. This video will help keep you out of trouble by showing how the choices one person made affected him, as revealed in a bankruptcy case. The case is N. Ray Hickson, 450 Bankruptcy Reporter 9, Southern District, New York, 2011, and this is not going to be a happy video. Hickson tried bankruptcy and he was screwed. Because we believe this could happen to anybody, we present this case study as a warning. We start with some basic facts. A lot isn't totally clear, but we do know that Hickson graduated from the Juilliard School of Music, one of the most prestigious schools in the country, with a PhD in clarinet in 1998, after several years of school, obviously. His student loans at graduation were for about $91,000. He was married to a woman about whom not much is said, but she had student loans totaling about $47,500 herself. That's all we really know. So what follows is a mixture of guesswork and hypotheticals, but it is ballpark, and it shows the situation the couple faced in general. They consolidated their loans. That means they put them together so they had one payment, and that was a big disaster. Using the loan calculator you can find in the About section of this video, we calculate that if they agreed to 10 years of payments, their payments would have likely been over $1,500 per month. That's pretty much. But if you have a good job, it would at least be possible, right? Would you want to, though? How much do you suppose you would want something like that for that length of time? Hickson, whose degree was in clarinet, was probably counting on getting a university position. This apparently did not happen. In the 17 months following their loan consolidation, Hickson made 12 payments of approximately $440 each. It isn't clear why the payments were that size, and Hickson's wife made no payments then or ever. We're guessing they didn't have any money. He's a clarinet player with a PhD, remember? About 18 months after consolidating their debts, Hickson and his wife got divorced. This means that they were both on the hook for the total amount due, but they were no longer married. That obviously wasn't great, right? It would appear from the case, though vaguely, that the ex-wife agreed to pay her share of the loans, but that she never did. In any event, Hickson stopped paying too in December 2000. No payments were made until the Department of Education caught up with Hickson and began garnishing wages in October of 2004. They garnished him for between $200 and $600 per month for a year before he declared bankruptcy. He made no attempt to hide his wages at any time, and when he declared bankruptcy, all he wanted was help with his student loans and not to have to pay his ex-wife's loans. Hickson was not a clarinet professor, we do know that. He was apparently a computer internet salesperson, although it's not clear quite exactly what he did. By December 2006, Hickson was facing a debt that was by now up to $195,000. So in that period of time, it had grown from $138,500 to $195,000. The DOE never made any attempt to collect from Hickson's ex-wife. We explain why that was so dastardly on our site. For now, though, just know that it was an option the DOE had, and they used it ruthlessly. Don't even think about the word fair. They had the power to do it, and that's all they needed. At the time relevant to the case, Hickson was making about $40,000 in after-tax take-home pay per year, and he was living in New York City, not a low-rent district, obviously. Unless he could get help from bankruptcy, Hickson then faced two options. One, 10 years of payments, about $2,100 per month. That was more than all the money he had left over after necessities. Or 2, 21 years of $808 per month payments, about half of every cent that he had after necessities. That'd be great for a young single person, wouldn't it? The bankruptcy court found that Hickson's situation was not undue hardship, a special requirement for student loans before requiring any of the debt to be reduced. The court had no problem with the DOE going after Hickson for debt his ex-wife had generated. He signed the deal, he was stuck with it. The only thing the court didn't like was that Hickson had had his wages garnished. Oh, did you think we meant that the court thought he shouldn't have been garnished? Don't joke around. It found that because Hickson had not been making payments voluntarily, he had not satisfied the good faith test it imposed, a test which is not written in the statute, by the way. That meant that even if the court had been troubled by Hickson living the next 21 years of his life in poverty, which it emphatically was not, it still wouldn't have helped him. That's what some courts think is justice for students who can't pay their student loans. We do not know what Hickson did or how it all turned out. We seriously doubt it turned out well for anybody other than the university, which sold Hickson a nearly useless degree that took him 6 years to earn. They got whatever out of pocket or in work that Hickson had already paid before the case began, plus the $100,000 in loan Hickson got stuck with on his own, and of course, some university got the $47,500 from the ex-wife. The judge took great care of them, right? Hickson's total projected payments on the remaining loan, not counting anything paid before the bankruptcy court's ruling, about $350,000. And these are after-tax dollars, too, so they likely imply a real cost, more like $500,000 in wages, if he ever manages to come close to paying it off. What do you think the chances of that are? After paying enough to buy a mansion, Hickson will, if he manages, be left with nothing but his degree. But that might not be all that bad. He might think it's fine, after all, to live in poverty while paying off his ex-wife's loans. It's just that I kind of doubt it. We know that some people watching this video will talk about how a guy who at age 20 wanted to play clarinet, made his own bed, etc., etc. And we don't doubt he probably made some bad judgments along the way. But is this really what we want to do to people so that the universities can keep raising their tuition and building fancier buildings? More importantly, maybe, is it what you want to happen to you? Whatever else was going on, Hickson left school saddled with a huge, but unfortunately not that unusual, loan. He couldn't get a job in his field, again, not that unusual these days, and it obviously took him quite a while to get a job that let him pay much of anything. Could you pay $1,000 per month in after-tax dollars on a student loan? And how would you feel about paying another $500 your ex-spouse owed? How would you feel about staring down the barrel of 21 years of payments, almost half of what you managed to scrape up after paying for the basics? Would you get an advanced degree if you thought that would happen to you? And it often does. We simply wish to point out what a disaster this probably was for Hickson. People make mistakes. Just how long and how much should they have to pay for them? The whole point of bankruptcy is to give people another chance. Why should school loans be treated so differently than other debts, which are routinely allowed to be discharged? Don't we like education? You know the answer to that last one, right? No one really cares about education. That's obvious. What they care about is people with big money, the universities and the lenders. That's why student loans are so special. Be very careful before taking on a student loan. The courts seem to think that unending poverty is just fine for people who make a mistake on that. Before you agree to any amount of student loans at all, make sure you get a realistic handle on the amount of blood, sweat, and tears your educational loan will cost. And then multiply the implied grief by 5. Things happen. We hope it makes you take a hard look at the universities and at their tuition rates. We believe that most educational tuition rates are grossly excessive. And once you're on the hook, you could expect more compassion from a shark than the student loan administrators. You've been warned. Not all of them are all that bad. It is possible to get some help from the courts, too. There are some things that you can do, even if you're having trouble making your payments. Our job is to help you do what you need to do. The laws on student loans in bankruptcy are horrific and arbitrary. That's because they're mostly designed to protect the schools and the gigantic loan industry set up around them rather than anybody else. Be careful about student loans, signing, consolidating, repaying. We aren't saying they're all bad, but you need to know what you're doing. We help pro se parties understand and deal with the legal system. Although we don't give legal advice, we do have frequent teleconferences for our members. You can call in real time and discuss what's happening in your case with us and other members. We help you translate what the other side is saying, figure out what they're doing, and discuss options on how you might respond. That way, you don't have to be confused about the things going on in your case. We provide manuals that explain in great detail in plain English what is going on in your situation, from what your legal options might be to how to bring motions. We have member-only videos and articles, and we have information packs, which help with a lot of what you're going to need to do, among many other resources. If you are in court, worried about going to court, or think you should go to court, but can't afford a lawyer or don't know what your rights are, you should join us. Debt collection is a social justice issue. Take action to protect yourself from the debt collectors and help others do the same. Please like this video, share it with anybody you think could use it, subscribe, and comment, as all these things help others find our materials. YourLegalLegUp.com